department, who has called over us for Atal FDP on semiconductor materials, devices, design and applications. All are requested to fill the feedback form and submit your MCQ-based question on time, please. I request to our first speaker of the day, Dr. Sudhir Kumar, scientist, SSPL, to deliver a talk on the RF characterization of HAM devices and MMICs. He is engineering graduate from Delhi College of Engineering, Electronics and Communication Engineering, and postgraduate from IIT Delhi Radio Frequency Design and Technology. His area of active research is high frequency devices and characterization, with more than 15 years of experience in the field of on wafer and module level RF characterization of gallium arsenide and gallium nitride based HAM devices and MMICs. His extensive publication report includes more than 20 papers published as CI listed journals and national and international conferences. I would like to request Mr. Amit Saxena to present his appeal to Dr. Sudhir Kumar. I would like to request Mr. Amit Saxena to present his appeal to Dr. Sudhir Kumar. Please, sir.
With all of you. Actually, this is kind of audience which are like TR module, transmitter and receiver. Whatever I have my experience, I am going to share with you, and you are the active basically transmitter, so that you can add more information in that one and can shower to the students so that they can learn more and more from my experience and your knowledge. That's I will try to discuss my experience. It will be an interactive kind of session. If you have any doubt, you just stop me and we will discuss that. Because I am going to share my knowledge, whatever I have learned and from the testing and measurement. So it's your turn. So basically, I am giving you a flavor of RF characterization of MMIC devices and circuits which we are doing at SSPL. Basically, I am in RF measurements of MMIC division. So introduction, my presentation flow will be introduction to MMIC, applications of MMIC, then what are the materials which we are using for MMICs and RF characterization. But RF characterization include that is mainly pulse IV measurement, S parameter measurement, load pull measurement, noise measurement, and what are the other technologies we have developed at SSPL. I think some of the things you have already gone through the what are HAMs and MESFETs. Some things have been discussed and packaging of these devices and about their fabrications. This is basically what is MMIC. MMIC is basically monolithic microwave integrated circuit. It's an integrated circuit that works on high frequency, mainly gigahertz range. So it's basically consists of active devices as well as passive devices. Suppose we have to design a circuit, it includes active as well as passive components. In microwave range, basically it's a transistor, high electron mobility transistor. If you go for the lower frequencies, it can be BJT, FET or like that. But in high frequency, MESFET and HAMT. MESFET is metal semiconductor field effect transistor and HAMT is high electron mobility transistor. So active devices MESFET or HAMT, then passive devices are resistors, capacitors, inductors. These are all printed kind of devices. So this is basic कभी
सर वो सेंस नहीं करेगा उसको ना।
ओके
लेजर।
तो दिस इज MOSFET, metal semiconductor field effect transistor or high electron mobility transistor. This is the inductor, this is spiral inductor. It can be a circular inductor or like that. And this is capacitor. Capacitor is basically parallel plate capacitor. One is bottom side, other one is top side, and in which there is dielectric. Similarly, resistor is there, and for connecting all these active and passive components, we require different transmission lines. Transmission line could be strip line, micro strip line, or CPW. There are some applications of MIC. They are low noise amplifiers in the front end of receivers. Suppose there is any receiver, the first chain is low noise amplifier, which can sense the small signal and introduce the less noise in that case. Similarly, there are some applications like frequency converter, amplifiers, and there are different applications in fiber optics, wireless communication. There are plenty of applications in which microwave devices and circuits are being used. Apart from this, military and space applications are also there, in which you have transmitter and receiver module, in which there is a phase array radar which is going to steering the beam, as well as electronic warfare and active electronically scanned arrays and smart munitions, remote sensing, synthetic aperture radars. Actually, earlier the antenna was mechanical kind of thing. They are used to rotate. Suppose we have to detect any object, so antenna was rotating in that direction, but nowadays electronically scanned array is there, so there are a number of phase shifters, so that we provide the phase shift to the signals and we can steer the beam instead of mechanically rotating the antennas or like. And this is a graph. Basically this is, if you can see here, this one is basically front side of the aeroplane, in which all the radar, basically it works as a radar as well as LTR module also. Similarly, in the missile application, there are a lot of communication has to be done between the receiving station and to find its trajectory, everything. So in that case also, these components are used. And if we talk of materials, actually if we see the BJT, bipolar junction transistor, or MOSFET and FET, the main material which was being used, that was silicon or germanium. But there is a limitation of silicon and germanium. Actually, their mobility is around, for silicon it is 1300 centimeters per second. So that mobility of that material limits the frequency of operation. Because actually, if in any device, suppose we have a amp, there is a drain and source. So we have to find the transit time which it is taking to go electrons from drain to source. It's actually either there are two things. Either the gate size had to be reduced, or that mobility has to be increased. If we see in case of silicon, it's around 1350, and in case of gallium arsenide, it is 8500. So whenever we are using devices for high frequency applications, it's better to use gallium arsenide. Its band gap is around 1.43, and saturation velocity is also 2 into 10 to the power 7. Breakdown field is also higher in that case, 4 into 10 to the power 5. So if we are going for high frequency applications, then gallium arsenide is the main material which was being used. Even up to 100 or 200 gigahertz, gallium arsenide is being used. But in case of power devices, now we are actually, there are two separate fields. One is the high frequency as well as power. If we are concerned with the high frequency, then gallium arsenide is the suitable material for high frequency devices. But its breakdown voltage is not so high. So in that case, what is the gallium nitride is being used? In this case, its band gap is 3.4. So its breakdown voltage is quite higher than the gallium nitride, the gallium arsenide. One more thing, actually, I will do this one. Actually, if you see the frequency wise, one is power. For how much power you have to use the system. Similarly, the frequency. If we see the lower frequency, then silicon is mostly used for all these applications. Whereas if you go for higher frequency, but power is not so high, up to 50 volt or 100 watt power, you can use gallium arsenide. Similarly, for very high frequency, indium phosphide can be used, but that is also for low power. But in next case, there is silicon carbide and gallium nitride. Gallium nitride has a lot of capability to cater starting from some gigahertz to hundreds of gigahertz. Similarly, for the high power application. So GaN is basically used for a lot of applications which will be for frequency as well as power applications. Its properties are here. Band gap. If we see the band gap of gallium nitride, it is around 3 times than the gallium nitride. So suppose in case normal transistor, if this gallium arsenide transistor is operating at 10 or 20 volt, gallium arsenide will operate at very high voltages. Similarly, if we see the gallium arsenide electromobility, it's around 6000. It's very high frequency application point of view. And if the saturation velocity of electrons, basically saturation velocity limit whenever you are applying some voltage. Similar the electron that velocity of electrons increases with the electric field, and in case of say, gallium arsenide is saturated at 2 and there is a peak. So if you increase the voltage, very high voltage, if you increase the, either it will break down or its saturation velocity will reduce. And if you are operating some device at very high voltage, power is basically output of voltage and current. If you are operating some at 20 volt or 50 volt and current is around 1 ampere per mm, you can get 20 watts. Whereas if you are operating at 5 volt and it is current is lower, so that will be slightly comparatively very lower compared to this. Similarly, one more thing comes the thermal conductivity. Whenever you have some device, you are operating at some bias voltage, it will generate heat. So for that for particular that device to work, its temperature should be limited to some extent. If it is its channel temperature is increasing, it may have adverse effect which can reduce the life of that component or failure of that component. So basically thermal conductivity is measured in that case. Suppose you have operated a transistor, so how much heat is being dissipated easily from the temperature, so that it can work at proper temperature. Similarly, next is dielectric constant. Actually, dielectric constant is directly related to size of that component. So higher dielectric constant means your component size will be reduced, but it's slightly lower than that one, gallium arsenide. These are some of the things that what is the advantage of wide band gap. Wide band gap means high breakdown field. Similarly, for that high saturation electromobility, so high speed applications you can use this. Low intrinsic carrier density means high temperature application. Similarly, band gap engineering is also possible with the nitride devices. You can add indium nitride, gallium nitride, argon, or like that. This is a similar advantage of wide band gap, high breakdown voltage, which leads to higher power. Similarly, high saturation velocity, which leads to high frequency operation. At the same time, it leads to high current, and current and voltage both are deciding the power output from the devices. Similarly, actually, basically HAMT is high electromobility. That is basically heterostructure of argon, wide band gap, and narrow band gap material. I think have you studied something about HAMT in cases? No. Actually,
So you need a marker, so you can use it on your board.
okay. Gallium arsenide. If we discuss gallium arsenide, actually this is basic gallium arsenide. So over this is a so basically, actually whenever we are applying any bias to the device, its channel is basically this. So current is flowing. Suppose we are operating. We have light of V. This is VD. This is IDS, or this is VG. This is basically channel. If we are applying some VG equal to 0 volt, then full channel is open for current to flow from here to here. This is basically channel. This is a structure of a MOSFET, metal semiconductor field effects transistor. This is basically gate contact. This one is drain and source. So what's happening actually in gallium arsenide, we have to do doping. This is the channel where we are doing doping. So from the doping, what we are doing? Actually, what happens if this is a channel? I require some of the electrons for flowing of the current. Actually, number of electrons, whatever is possible in this one, these are give rise to current. So this channel is basically we have to do two things in this one. One is doping for increasing the carrier concentration. But as we are increasing the carrier concentration, effective mobility, its doping will reduce. So there is another approach in which there is narrow band gap, wide band gap semiconductor,